James Steinhubel on the Culture Channel, TVU, with Lisa Making, Executive Director of the Royal Tyrrell Museum. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. It's good to have you. Lots of questions, lots of interest. How are you guys doing? How's your team doing? How did you handle COVID? And where are you at?
Well, it's been an interesting couple months. We closed our doors on March 18th to the public, and from that point, we had some staff who chose to work from home. Most of us were coming in day to day, as there's always something happening in the museum and things to do, and we've been everyone's been very conscious about physical distancing and kind of adjusting to that new normal that we're all experiencing. But there's always stuff happening. There's always work to go on in our galleries. There's always things that we can do to reach out to our visitors. So we've been doing pretty good. We've been staying the course for the time being. And now, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but we're starting to look at what reopening will look like for us.
Okay. So, as the advancing complete closure, approached, and the new sanitary and disinfectant protocols and the distancing protocols, and what did you guys pick up on? And is there anything of all that is enduring that you'll keep going with?
Well, hand sanitizers have always been in our galleries. We've always had that for visitors. And anyone who's been through the museum knows that we have a lot of hands-on interactives and touch interactives and touch specimens. We're always very cognizant of what might get spread in the museum. But of course, this is a whole new entity for us, and it's a whole new heightened level of awareness that we're dealing with. So cleaning protocols became a little bit more enriched and a little bit more thorough than normal, and we just became a little more aware of everything that was going on in the institution. And so when we closed, we knew we would have to look at what reopening was going to look like. So we started to evaluate what other countries were doing who had already gone through much of the pandemic, or we're looking at what coming out might look like. So we've always been keeping our eye on what everyone else is doing.
How big of a team do you guys have there?
We have, well, it can range anywhere. It depends on the season. In the wintertime, you can look at about 100 and 115 people, and that includes everyone from our management team and our front line and our cafeteria, right through to, in the summertime, you're looking at about 140, 160 people, depends on how busy we are.
So that's a big task, as you even if you're rolling and you got great momentum and you're adjusting to market conditions or consumer interest conditions, but now on restart, I think we'll have to talk about that. So you've got an education role, a tourism role, and a vital research role. So you come from a very purposed but interesting education background. You did Memorial University Newfoundland for your bachelor's in anthropology, then University of Newcastle for your master's of museum studies, and then the Getty Leadership Institute. Very in-depth training. So you've got a strategy. We talked a little bit about it. It's a facet strategy. So in your approach to successful, engaged museums in startup, what are you going to do?
There's going to be a lot. We have to catch up on a lot. We have to re-engage with our community, and in different ways. We've maintained some connection through our social media feeds and various activities, but we have to re-engage with the people. I think people are going to be looking for that tangible. We're also needing to make sure that the health and wellness of our staff is always a priority. As any business owner or leader understands, you're only as good as the people that you work with, and they really contribute a lot to your organization. We also need to look at financial viability. We've been pretty successful as a museum throughout the years. We average about 430,000 visitors lately from 150 countries. So you become dependent on that gate revenue in the projects. And so how do we rebound from this, and what do we need to look at in the coming years? because it's going to take a little while for people to feel that confidence to travel again.
Mm-hmm. That's well, it's good to have someone at the helm like yourself. It's you're well trained. You've got great experience. You got great enthusiasm for museums. You kidding? The reopening of the Royal Tyrrell. This is exciting, but you've got lots of exciting stuff on the go. I'm just behind the scenes. I'm going to just make sure that everything is still loaded up. It is good. So I'm going to share screen. And this is very exciting because right now we are doing startup or restart or reopening, relaunch, but it's going to be some conditions. So at home learning is still valuable here. So let's take a look at this. This is what you guys got on the go for people at home. It's very good. Let me know when you can see your screen. See my screen.
RTP from home.
Isn't this
That would be
fantastic?
Black Beauty.
Yes. So everything. So you've got all the exhibits,
Yeah.
all available for online. Is that correct?
Yes. You can go take a peek at them online. We also have a number of years ago, Google did a tour through the entire facility, including our collections area.
Mm.
And if you were to go to Google Earth, you can actually do a little virtual tour of the facility. Some of the galleries are a little out of date. We've been busy over the last few years and changing the exhibits, but the essence of the magic of the Tyrrell is still there.
Look
Our
at
Zoom
I
backgrounds.
know that's great. We should have done that.
I know, I just thought of it.
Well, mine will. Let's just let me. I'll show you what it does. I'll download it, and I will. I will. Oh, it changed the screen on this. Just a second. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. So if someone's coming here, what are they getting? So they come to learn,
They
and
come to learn, like they'll have access to some of our YouTube. So on YouTube, we have some videos of our curators and our collections team talking about their favorite specimens.
okay,
Uh,
and
and
here you
and
go.
I think a few of those specimens people haven't seen before. So I think it'll be quite exciting for them.
You can see starting 3 months ago, you guys started to. It's good. You were sort of getting busy on your YouTube. You started to add in a little bit, and now you're starting to add lots, right?
We've
So
added lots. Well, over the years, we've
that's
also
great.
got every year we do a speaker series where we
Mm,
welcome scientists from around the world to give a presentation at the museum, and we record those for YouTube. So all of our speaker series over the last, I'm going to say almost a decade, are available online, and there's some great topics in there for people who.
On YouTube here, everything is here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just apologize. The internet is this is the
That's
time
okay.
that we're in. There's so many people on it that I normally I can just click through pages, but it's just really slow. So that would be on your channels.
Yeah. On our YouTube channel, there should be a whole series of them, and some of them are fun. You see when there are dinosaurs in the movies,
Yeah.
and that's with our own Dr. Donald Henderson, and talking a little bit about his pet peeves in how dinosaurs are portrayed in the film.
That's
So
so
it can
good.
be a lot of fun, and sometimes it can be really heavy scientific content. But
Uh,
there's some really good stuff.
that's and that's good. And I think that we're all we've all sort of carried our internet and our online presence and all that stuff as stuff that we needed to do, right? Just because everyone else was doing it. But I think we're all really glad that we did it. So
I really loved how when all of this started to happen and people were going into isolation and staying home more, they really reached out to museums and cultural centers and art galleries for content, for things to do, for things to
mhm,
keep themselves and their families engaged in.
mhm.
Um, the importance of arts and the social relevancy of the arts really came forward over the last few months. I've loved seeing that grow.
Well, I think it's we've had these discussions a lot because we're all about that media arts community. And, that's what we
Mm-hmm.
that who we are at TVU and Radio U. And arts is a place where where we all can enjoy and share, right?
Yeah,
Where in where we can be all included. Whereas a lot of ways, when we try to include everybody, we all sort of get exclusive trying to include everybody, right? So this has allowed us to be inclusive in the arts, and I definitely appreciate. And now I've got my picture set up. We got some
Oh,
wonderful pictures
awesome.
set, and you can tell me what we're seeing here. Like, look how clean. What I was struck with is how clean it is.
Oh, that's our collections area. Isn't that amazing?
So what
That
kind of
is an
work goes on
area that
here?
that's our prepared collections storage area, and that's where anything that's been when you watch a fossil come into the museum, it'll come in a large, almost looks like a cast that you would put on your arm. So it comes in a large cast,
Mm,
almost a mushroom cap. And it'll go to our unprepared storage, where it'll stay there until we're ready to begin preparation. From there, our preparators, our technicians will remove all of the matrix and all of the dirt or rock around the fossil. And then it will either come in here to our collections area or go out on display, depending on
mhm,
what's needed. And if it's stored back here, it's being used for research primarily. And so we have researchers coming from around the world who come to our collections facility to investigate and to see what we have and do publications and confer with the rest of our scientific team.
mhm.
That's Dr. James Gardner, one of our scientists here at the museum.
And so he's he in the same area here, and this is where it's really got really smaller pieces, or what's going on here?
Exactly. So Jim looks mostly at amphibians, reptiles, very small uh, creatures.
Mhm.
So the scientists in our museum vary from dinosaurs to mammals to marine reptiles. Their focus is varied because of the biodiversity, and Earth was not just one kind of animal.
Right.
So each one of them has their own specialty. And this is Darren Tankey, one of our senior technicians in our preparation lab, um, working on a Gorgosaurus, so a theropod,
Mm,
a relative of T-Rex.
hmm.
So beautiful specimen, isn't it?
And well, it is. And look at the equipment that and this the amount of technology that's in the background too. There's some interesting
It
work going on.
is.
Hey.
Well, those are the dust extractors, so they'll help remove any of the dust that's being produced when they're doing their work around the specimen.
Here we go.
And that is a Gorgosaurus in our dinosaur hall. If anyone has been through the galleries, our dinosaur hall is kind of the star of our show. And there's about 44 articulated specimens on display in there.
How big?
And
How big? How
it's
big is this guy?
awesome.
Like from the top of it, from how he's standing here, how from his foot to the top of his head, how
From
he's
his
standing.
foot to the top of his head, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my
Ish,
head.
ish, ish,
But
ish.
I'm about 5'6", and
Yep.
I probably come up to his knee on the hind leg.
Really.
Like these
And that,
guys were not small.
but I like how it gives you good insight why they needed such long legs, because they
Yes.
look what they were walking in, and that why they needed
And
such power to pull themselves out of the mud, and they could just and then their hands would almost go on top of the mud. It's so interesting. Okay.
they're fascinating animals. Now, the Gorgosaur and Albertosaurus, which we're also known for, are smaller than Tyrannosaurus Rex was.
Oh, okay.
They were much more agile, much more graceful,
Okay.
and likely moved faster because of
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
We got one more lab shot here.
Okay.
This look at him go, right? This is busy work
Yeah.
here. So this is stuff that people that are happening right in the area, like but around you guys in Brooks, or this is stuff that's coming from all over the world.
Most of it comes from Alberta.
Okay, it is, right?
Occasionally, we get specimens coming in from other areas, but those would be comparative. Those would be things that we worked with other museums and researchers to collect, so that we can compare them against specimens from our own collection. And they can come from anywhere: Drumheller, Dinosaur Provincial Park, Crow's Nest Pass area.
Mm.
We span the entire province, even as far up north in Peace River, all of that. Alberta is perhaps one of the richest fossil beds in the world, and it's often compared to Mongolia and China for its significance.
So on your new discovery hot list email list, how many, or blog posts, how many how many instant visits do you get when you post stuff up?
That I can't tell you off the top of my head. You caught me. I do know our Facebook and our Twitter and our Instagram followers are so passionate about paleontology and the work that happens here.
Mm.
And I love seeing them engaged. And I'm always blown away by how much they know
Mhm.
about the work that we do and
Yeah.
about the scientific content. And they're often, many of them are armchair paleontologists, that amateur, but they know their stuff, and it's, I love that they challenge us as well, um, and aren't afraid to ask questions. This is everybody's favorite. This is Black Beauty.
Mm.
She is I call her a she because that's what I do.
Get the
She was
feeling
found in the
from it.
Crow's Nest Pass area by three boys out fishing back in the 80s. They spotted one of her limbs and reported it to her teacher.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot of people's favorite specimen.
You know what I'm struck with, and what I'm impressed with is, I used to just think of your, the care of sort of fancy stones, but I really, when I saw your team working there, it's recognized that this is life. This is a record of life, and the respect that they have for that record is fantastic. That was a nice little journey there. Thank you. Okay, so the excitement reopening.
Yeah.
How many of us can line up, on what day, and how far apart, and what do we got to wear to get in?
Right now, we're working on all the details. First thing first is going to be setting out our opening date, which we don't have yet, but I can say it's likely going to be around mid-May, so very, very soon. What it's going to look like, we're encouraging everyone to buy their tickets in advance. We're going to limit how many people can be in our building at one time, and evaluate as we go. So we're going to start off small, and if that's working and everything is going okay, we'll start to expand it. So we're telling everyone to pre-purchase the tickets in advance. It will be timed entry, so you would buy for 10:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. and have access that way. A lot of our hands-on activities are going to be closed or off limits for the time being, as everyone kind of adjusts to this new world that we're living in. But we're going to try to make sure that you still have as great of an experience as normal, as you normally would coming through. There will be physical distancing rules in place, of course, and our staff will be on hand to help remind people and encourage them, to maintain their distances when they can. So it's going to be an interesting opening. We're making sure our staff are safe, and we're making sure that our visitors will be safe, and still enjoy themselves coming out to the Badlands. We had the great advantage of being in Midland Provincial Park, and so there's an amazing trail that takes you through the Badlands just outside our building. So if they see a little bit of a crowd happening out on our plaza, they can take a stroll out on the trail and have a good social distance there and get a bit of fresh air. And there's also some interpretive panels throughout the trail, so they can learn a little bit as they go through. So
Oh,
it's oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, no. I was just gonna say, we don't want to forget about the online stuff. So how do people
Mm.
find you online?
So tyrrellmuseum.com. I think even if you were to Google Canada's Dinosaur Museum, we come up number one.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to promote our museum from home activities. And so we're going to continue our videos that we've done with our curators and other staff. We have some coloring pages available for kids who want to, draw their own dinosaurs, put on feathers, put on whatever they want on these critters. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of different activities. I think we're going to experiment perhaps with puzzles, online puzzles, or different things that people can share with each other. We know that tourism is going to be impacted significantly. As I mentioned earlier, we normally welcome about 150 countries to our museum every year. I doubt that's going to happen this year. And so with visitors from around the world, they'll be able to connect with us still. or even from other provinces, if people are a little hesitant to get out on the road yet. So we're working on different ways for people to continue to visit us and be a part of who we are.
It's interesting that you said that we could draw feathers on those dinosaurs, because I would draw feathers on them. I know it's a debate. I know it's a debate. Lisa Making, Executive Director from the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Drumheller, Alberta. Thank you so much.
Anytime, James.
Yes, with me, James, on James Steinhubel on TVU, the Culture Channel. Until next time.